Hello and welcome to Encore. Coming up on today's music show, rock legend Eric Clapton keeps us guessing with his 23rd studio album, I Still Do. We check out teen sensation Ariana Grande's latest offering of perfectly produced pop tunes. And Judith Owen mixes the dreamy sounds of Laurel Canyon with jazz, soul and pop on her new record, Somebody's Child. She joins us in the studio to tell us more. Well, for all of that, I'm joined by our music critic, Mariam Saab. Hi, Mariam.
Hello, Olivia.
And Judith, thanks so much for being with us.
Pleasure.
Now, let's start with this new album. We find some of your signature style that is quite instrument-led, a bit of acoustic. But what about the title, Somebody's Child? Who is that?
Somebody's Child, well, it's all of us really, but it started from, the title track is Somebody's Child, and it's about a woman, a young woman I saw in Manhattan, on the streets of Manhattan, middle of winter, snow on the ground, hugely pregnant, no clothes apart from some, like a trash bag, you know, on her, and crazy on drugs. And I ran across the street to get away from her because I was terrified, as, you know, we all are when we see things that scare us. And when I got to the other side of the street, I suddenly had this very pure thought, which was that somebody's child, like me, like you, like any of us. And it's not unthinkable or unfeasible that any of us could end up like that if we had a different upbringing, if we had a different set of circumstances. And so the whole record became very much about noticing the things that matter in life as opposed to being either in denial or rushing through life, you know, and that includes love and this beautiful planet that we're on, and the people that we share in our lives. It's about not missing the important stuff.
Well, there's a very strong, evocative image there. Well, let's take a look at a clip of you performing some of the music from that new album. You gave this small concert here in Paris. It's a taste of your upcoming tour.
They say love's a mystery, and we think about it all the time. You can't ever force it, it's just something that you'll find. And for all your waiting, never where you thought it would be. Oh, love is a mystery.
Your music's very personal. You've turned your battle into depression, quite a public one, into something that you fed into your art. Where are you on that journey today, and how does that play into this record?
I'd say that you can follow absolutely how well I'm doing and have been in my past with every single recording that I make, every CD. And luckily, I'm at a point where I'm actually well, I mean, really well, and manage what will always be an illness that I have, which many people do. I'm very vocal about this because I think the important thing about stopping the stigma of depression is talking about it and letting other people know that you're going through this too. It's a very lonely illness. People feel they're the only ones. Now I'm at a point where actually I'm able to look outside myself so that the songs aren't only, you know, it's all about me, of course, you know. It is all about me. But now I'm actually able to look outside of myself and talk about the things that I see in life that matter to us all, that count. And so I'm a very confessional and observational artist, and I take so much from the 1970s, you know, music of people like Joni Mitchell, and Carole King, James Taylor, where it was about confessional music. But now I'm able to actually see the rest of the world and sing about it. So obviously I'm pretty well.
Fantastic. Now, a bright spot in all of our lives, and yours. I'm a big fan of The Simpsons, and your husband, Harry Shearer, is actually one of the voice artists. He voices, among many others, Smithers and Mr. Burns. Now, you yourself appeared on The Simpsons episode in season 13. What was that like?
It was incredible because I was on it because the producer, Mike Scully, was a really big fan of my music, and I'd only just gone over to America to be with Harry, and I would go to all the readings, and Mike would come and see my shows, and at the end of one of the read-throughs, he said, "I'm going to write you into one of the Simpsons shows," and I just thought, yeah, you know, this is just such a Hollywood, you know, cheap, talk is cheap. So literally a year later, I got a phone call from Korea to say, please send South Korea, please send Headshot, was the call I got. And what that meant was, we're drawing you. And so the next thing that happened, and I was singing a song, I was actually at a venue where I think the show is called The Blunder Years, and there's a magician, and I'm part of the show, and Homer gets he gets a memory way back when he was a kid. Anyway, so I'm playing, and I remember watching the show, not knowing what I would look like, and almost falling on the ground laughing, because of course I have quite a powerful nose, as you can see. It's a beautiful, powerful nose. But my nose, I swear to God, it was just like this. I mean, it was a huge yellow nose, massive blue eyes, huge lips. I mean, everything that you love about The Simpsons. And it's one of the most wonderful things. Two things that made me the happiest, separate to my music, which is the love of my life, apart from my husband, of course, I have to say that. And that is being on The Simpsons and being a really, really dreadful backup singer in Spinal Tap, which is really one of my most, it's like the Bible for musicians, it really is.
Or two massive cultural references,
Yes,
perhaps
yes.
different generations. Now we're moving to an older generation. Now a familiar face, legendary guitarist Eric Clapton has recorded a 23rd studio album. It's called I Still Do. Judith, what do you have to do in the music industry to record 23 albums? How has he managed this?
Survive. You have to not die and just keep producing music. I absolutely understand why he's produced that much. I'm really respecting and I'm in awe of him and the people that make that much. But when you go back to the time of Ella Fitzgerald or Frank Sinatra, it's incredible how many records they came out with, and nobody would bat an eye about it. They would do some, a couple every year. I commend him for doing this much, and I think the whole point of being a musician and artist is that you keep producing music and you keep making music until you can't, and hopefully that's the end of it.
Well, he's certainly doing that. Mariam, what do you make of this new record?
Well, it's a mix of old and new, and a sneaky cameo adds intrigue. On one track, that he's been credited vocals and guitar to one Angelo Misterioso.
Who would that be?
Well, there's been lots of noise about whether or not it's Beatles' George Harrison on this record. Now, the pseudonym is just like the one that he used when he was working with Cream, and there are also whispers that if it's not, in fact, George Harrison, it could be his son, Danny. Now, Clapton tells us that he's never going to reveal the identity of Angelo Misterioso. Anyway, we're going to take a look at the record. This is Spiral.
You don't know how much this means to have this music in me. I just keep playing these blues, hoping that I don't lose. I just keep playing my song, hoping that I get along.
Well, we're moving next to a man with incredible longevity, also in the business. That's Bob Dylan, who celebrates his 75th birthday this week. He's set to release his latest collection of standards. It's called Fallen Angels. Tell us more.
Yes, it's no wonder that Bob Dylan opens up with Young at Heart. It's another nostalgic skip down memory lane with a record of jazz standards. Now, the album was recorded during the same sessions as his last year's Shadow in the Night, when Dylan went all out Sinatra. Now, some critics have hit out at the cliche of, the aging rocker taking on America's songbook. Think Rod Stewart, Annie Lennox and Paul McCartney. Not me, I love that kind of stuff, but Bob Dylan isn't a fan, and he wanted to put out a bit more of a pared back take on songs from his childhood. Fallen Angels definitely gets the thumbs up. It's a heart-heavy tribute to the standard love song, toying with the likes of It Had to Be You, Skylark and That Old Black Magic.
Right, well, Judith, you've done quite a few covers yourself. Is there one song you're burning to do still?
Oh, what a good question. I don't know. I've covered so many. My job is to take in the past it's been to take very, very masculine songs like Smoke on the Water, real anthems, Eye of the Tiger, and make them into very female, sexy things. On Somebody's Child, I've taken a song by Brian Ferry, who I was touring with all of last year, More Than This, which was one of my favourite songs of all time. It just breaks my heart. and did a version of that because to me, again, it fits in with that theme of not missing what's important, which is, you know, the people around you that you love. That's what makes life really special. But also on the record is Aquarius, because I have to say that was a bit of a push. But for me, Aquarius is one of the silliest, funniest songs there is. And yet we all love it and we all know it. So I've done a really sort of funked up, very rocking version of that. So I think it's about, you know, I don't do karaoke. I think when you do covers, and I think that's what's interesting what you're saying about Bob Dylan, you need to make it sound like it's yours. You need to reinvent it.
Well, Bob Dylan certainly has his own take on things. Well, a bit of a generational jump now to a former Nickelodeon star. That's Ariana Grande. She's releasing her third album, Dangerous Woman. Is this a modern-day Mariah, Mariam?
Well, with her vocal range, I'd definitely throw her in the ring and put her up there. She's a very versatile and talented young singer. In the span of a few years, she's gone from child star gone wild to now the dangerous woman of soul pop. In her corner on this one, some fantastic female voices. We've got Macy Gray. She has a very, very different voice to Ariana Grande's. It's completely on the opposite end of the spectrum, and that's a great thing. We also have Nicki Minaj rapping on that one. Lil Wayne and Future bring in some hard hip hop, and in her corner, she has Swedish producer Max Martin, who works his magic here. He's actually the hit maker behind Grande's 2014 smash hit Problem, and he has his hand on a number of cuts on this record.
Well, no doubt a recipe for success. Well, sadly, that's all we've got time for, Mariam. Thanks so much for being with us. And Judith, thanks for being in the studio today.
It's a pleasure, thank you.
We'll leave you with Send Me a Line from the album Somebody's Child. Remember, you can get more culture news on our website and check out Encore on our social media channels too. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
Oh, buddy, won't you send me a line?